the first game of the day is high flying Leicester against the sporty Ushers relegation fodder tip West Ham United. So that ended Leicester City 0, West Ham 3.
Yes.
Southampton 2, West Brom 0, Arsenal 2, Sheffield United 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Fulham 0. All pretty much quite straightforward. Then Super Sunday on Sky hit. Manchester United 1, Tottenham Hotspur 6, and Aston Villa 7, Liverpool 2. So I watched.
Dave. Sorry. There's a mistake there. There was a bit of a mistake there. You said Aston Villa 7, Liverpool 2. You must have misread that result, surely. I mean,
I did
sorry.
not.
Do you want to do that bit again?
I unfortunately, James, I watched it with my own eyes. So
I know.
Like just giving a bit of insight into the recording process here. I had the Liverpool Aston Villa game on in the background, and James and I had to stop recording about 6 times as I kept saying, Aston Villa have scored again. James, Aston Villa have scored again. So it was ludicrous. I think that's the best. Right? So I've watched 2 games of football today, right? And I have seen 16 goals. And I think, like I think we threatened, we mentioned Manchester United earlier in the podcast, and they are in real trouble because Martial got sent off at 3-1. And Lamela should have gone as well, because it was one of those things where Lamela elbows Martial in the throat, right? And then Martial sort of taps him on the chin, and then Lamela holds his face and starts rolling about, like kind of Rivaldo style, So you either give both of them a yellow card, or you give both of them a red card. To send one of them off is just absolutely ludicrous. If only they had a means to look at the situation again and see if they'd made the right decision. I don't know if if that technology exists in the Premier League.
Like something to assist.
Yes.
Some sort of video to assist the referee, for example.
I would even say maybe you could shorten it to VAR, So the fact that was ludicrous, but that aside, Manchester United were as bad as I have seen a team in that league. I mean, we're talking the derby of the 11-point season and sort of Norwich towards the end of last season. It was just abject. Now, the fact that professional football, now we talked about this when Barcelona got tonked off Bayern Munich. I was like, how a professional footballer who gets paid £100,000-200,000 a week, can sit there and just let that slide to the level that they did. So they scored first as well. They got a penalty, they scored first, and then Harry Kane, they wish it was Harry Kane. Harry Maguire just decided to, forget that he was actually a footballer and just gave away 2 goals. And it's just their level of defending, they were nowhere. There was no shape, there was no passion, there was no, they all looked like they didn't want to be there. And then they just started kicking Tottenham all over the place to the point where Pogba could have got sent off, Luke Shaw could have got off. You just think, that's not passion, that's not like fighting for your club, that's just frustration and embarrassment, and then the best part, like, again, not taking anything away from Tottenham Hotspur, because they were absolutely outstanding. They looked like they could have scored 10, and Manchester United would have had no complaints. But looking at it, so then Patrice Evra was on Sky afterwards, and he was as raging as I have ever seen a pundit at a football match, to the point where he pretty much almost quit his job live on air. He says, I don't want to do Manchester United games anymore. I get too angry. And what he said was, he says, and a direct quote is, I don't condone violence, but every one of those players needs a slap. And I think, and what he said is, he says, look, it's not the fact that they lost 6-1. He says, because I've played in teams that have lost 6-1. It was that sometimes you play a team and they play you off the park, right? And that happens. He says, but not one player in that team gave anything. He says, that's Manchester United. You play for the jersey and everything like that. And he was so angry. And then even Graham Souness, he was kind of like, he says, when I played for Liverpool, we were the best team in the league. Manchester United always gave us a game at Old Trafford. We always gave them a game at Anfield, but it was the games in between, they could never find a way to get up for them. And it kind of looks a little bit like that, and what do they do? Do they sack Solskjaer? But then who's going to come in and do it any different? Who's going to inspire this group. I mean, Solskjaer's got to handle some of the blame. And he's like against Brighton, he played Pogba like as a holding midfielder. Like the guy can't tackle. It's like, so why would you put him in there? You put him up with Fernandes, and you put someone like McTominay in that position to protect them and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, what's the answer for Man United? I mean, it's deadline day tomorrow, right? And they're linked with a left back, which isn't a problem area, and they're going to sign Edison Cavani, right? Yeah. But they need like anybody. I mean, me and you, who, let's just say, James, are not experts, right? and if we were to look at that team, and if we were to both watch that game, and you think, right, point to a position that Manchester United need to strengthen, it's centre half. Everybody in world football can see that Manchester United need a centre half, and they're signing Edison Cavani. Like
it seems to be that it's so much like 2 steps forward. I was going to say 2 steps forward, 1 step back with Man United under Solskjaer, but it might be. I mean, let's be charitable on a day they've got absolutely turned over. That's it. It is 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because they had that great start under him, and he sort of got made the permanent manager, and it kind of all went wrong. Yeah, and then they kind of like got Bruno Fernandes in, and it was all working again, and then they kind of dropped. It kind of got a lot. They kind of limped over the line in the end and went out in the Europa League. Just didn't quite. It wasn't quite clicking as much towards the end of last season. And then they've kind of like they're in a total. Let's be honest, they're in a mess. Like not just defensively, but a bit like Man City last week. It's not just the defenders. There's no kind of like you want to play, and Man United do play an attacking sort of style of football that has improved since the previous managers who've been there, and they've got a very exciting, a very skillful, very talented front three. They've got Bruno Fernandes, who's had one of the greatest impacts in the Premier League, like compared to anyone ever. And you've got Paul Pogba, who's Paul Pogba. Let's be honest, we all know his talents. Yeah. So why play him as a holding midfielder as well? It's not a secret what he can do with the ball. It's not a secret of what he can do when he's seemingly not on. But how then? But then, like, how do you marry that up with? You still need to play football. You still need to get the ball back off your opponents. You still need someone to tackle and win the ball back, rather than just relying on you. You can't. Football's moved on. You can't just rely on your back four to defend anymore. And especially against a Tottenham team that's got Harry Kane and Sonny, as I'm going to start calling him, because I've watched the documentary on him. He's such a great guy. Son Heung-min, he's just a lovable guy. And if you've got strikers like that who will drop deep, who will play on the left wing, who'll play on the right wing, and they're going to pull the defence all over apart. If they don't have any cover, they're going to be found very, very easy. And that seems to be, it's not rocket science to say that a back four that needs cover, a dodgy back four definitely needs cover. The fact that Solskjaer seems to think that he said that Eric Bailey is the guy to play alongside Harry Maguire. This is like only the second time he started him, though. It's been Lindelof along there, alongside him. He'll be the only happy Manchester United player at the moment will be Victor Lindelof. He's like, thank God I wasn't playing in that, man. And it's you think is what was he called? Tim Fosu-Mensah? Is he going to get a game as centre back? They're trying every sort of combination they can do. Oh, I tell you what. I mean, I know it's really easy to sort of kick teams when they're down and stuff like that, but I mean, you really needed to see it to believe it, And I've never seen. I mean, Manchester United have been poor, right, over the last couple of seasons, but I've just never seen it. There was just nothing coming from them. There was no. The body language was just horrendous, and I'm like, I just can't see how a team comes back from it, and teams do. Like, so Southampton got tonked, was it 9-0 by Tottenham, and they came back and did a lot better. But Man United have got 24 hours to sign a centre half, and I don't know. Jake, you'll see Sol Bamba coming over, he did for QPR and something like that. But I don't. So Man United. Do you know what? I'll give Ollie Solskjaer another piece of free advice, after my play Phil Jones in centre midfield as a goon to protect Bruno Fernandes. And this is a slightly more serious kind of idea. One of them, if there is a bright spark, so Bruno Fernandes, obviously, talented front three. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he is a really good player.
Yes.
How do you think he would do at centre back? Because he seems to have the pace and athleticism that could work at centre back.
Do you know what?
He's young enough.
Couldn't do it any worse, could he? I think that's the thing. It's like he couldn't do it any worse. And the thing, but they're looking at left back though. So
yes.
And like, well, you've got Luke Shaw, you've got that young lad whose name Williams. Yeah. You've got Williams. So what does that say to them?
Yeah,
that he doesn't trust them, or it could spark them on, or whatever. But so a left back in Edison Cavani to come into that team to make it better is unbelievable, unbelievable. And then Jadon Sancho. What do you want to sign Jadon Sancho for? Like that's your front three is fantastic. Like. Why not? What do you want to sign him for? Go and spend 80 million on a proper centre half.
Yeah.
But then there are loads of problems off the field with Greenwood and Maguire. Maybe Maguire just needs to be taken out of the team for a month. Just sort yourself out. I just don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Yeah. But it's as a neutral, it's hilarious to watch. But so that leads us on to the final game of the season. So we're talking about all the. The team can just get beat badly, and I think that just happened tonight. So Aston Villa beat Liverpool 2 games.
Yeah,
albeit this is Aston Villa, who narrowly avoided relegation last season. In the last game of the season, are now 3 games unbeaten. So they've played 1 game less because their game against Manchester, I can't remember which one it was put off so that the Manchester clubs could have an extra week off. But they've looked phenomenal. So they beat Fulham 3-0 last week. And then they've just taken 7 off Liverpool. And like Liverpool never laid a glove on them the whole game, and it was, so you're talking like, so Trent Alexander-Arnold was playing, Andy Robertson was playing, Virgil van Dijk was playing, so it's not like Liverpool were, under anything. That was our full team was out. And so you expected big things from Villa this season. They were one of your surprise packages, weren't they? So finally, the Sporty Ushers have got a prediction correct.
I think we might do. I did also say that I think Liverpool would win, and that they had enough strength in depth that they wouldn't have many issues. So but I did amongst the 4 or 5 teams that I picked to be a surprise package. I did just think that the Villa had sort of seen what their weaknesses were and had gone in the transfer market and spent a bit of money.
Well, they also got Ross Barkley this week as well, didn't they? For the rest of the
Who
scored that? He scored today in one of the 7 goals. So.
Yeah, I think he had an assist as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Ollie Watkins and sort of just adding quality means that your better players who are there. So sort of Jack Grealish is freed up a lot more, and that's when Villa kind of really started clicking last season. At the end of last season was when Jack Grealish, when John McGinn came back in, and Jack Grealish was played just, just 30 yards further up the pitch when he's getting the ball. He's also attacking the back 4 as opposed to running at midfielders and then the back 4.
And super John McGinn, obviously.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. But it's just, and Ollie Watkins, Brentford got to the playoff final kind of last year and didn't come up, and then one of their front 3 was going to move on, and it was Ollie Watkins. It looks like Ben Rama's going to stay, I think. Yeah. It doesn't look like anyone's going to spend the money to get him away from Brentford. So it looks like, I think Villa have, well, obviously Villa's problem last season was they didn't have a goal threat. Yeah. I'd suggest that this kind of proves that they do have a goal threat at the in the Premier League, kind of like at the Premier League level with Ollie Watkins. I'm not suggesting he'll continue. He'll score a perfect hat trick every game. Yeah. But he could have a decent season.
He's just taken a hat trick off the best defence in the league last season. So So just unreal. I think an unreal set of events. So we touched on. We'll talk a little bit about VAR, and just before we kind of move on to the women's roundup. So, has VAR, in your opinion, made the game better or worse?
Do you know what? I think VAR will make. I think VAR has made the game better. Like, it's made the game. It's made the match watching experience a lot worse so far. Yeah. And I do think they are, and I think this season they had made great strides to sorting out a lot of the problems before adding this sort of handball kind of thing that's made it taken another step back. But I do think it is making the game better overall. It's just the experience is really, really suffering at the minute.
So I think that VAR for a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
So VAR